I always say, I fly a lot into the Middle East, and sometimes you fly on an airline, they don't have one person speaking Arabic language. They have a taped thing. Here it's serving the Middle East countries, and not one stewardess or not one employee of the airline on the airline who speaks Arabic. Could you imagine a flight that's coming into Toronto and nobody speaking English? Huh? And they speak to you in German or Arabic or whatever, and yet we accept it. And when I talk to some of the young Muslims, this is an issue that we should voice our opinion on. Some of them said, well, we understand English anyhow. And another person said, well, I don't want to speak Arabic, they might call me a terrorist or something. We're not proud of our culture. We don't feel, he speaks broken English, but he says, I understand English, rather than think it is his right that somebody serves him in his native language.
Of course, I agree with that. I haven't flown too many Arab airlines, to be quite honest, but I have flown a couple of other ethnic airlines, if you will, and they tend to be pretty good about it, in that they speak their mother tongue. They do, like PIA, for example, does the dua for supper, and they engage, even if you talk to.
But that's the ethnic airline. But other airlines that goes into the Middle East, rather than the ethnic, they don't have one person speaking the language of that country they're serving.
And they should.
And they should. But it's our responsibility. We have to own it. And we have to say, I deserve to be served in my language.
But I think the way to do that, again, is, like you said, then you should use your money as a tool to get your point across. And this isn't the wrong thing. This isn't a dirty thing. People hear this and they say, oh, you're talking about money, this is a dirty thing. No, it's not. And it shouldn't be, because it is your right to spend your money how you deem appropriate. And if the service that you've acquired or you're procuring doesn't fit or doesn't fit your needs, then you shouldn't be required to buy it.
Well, the next point, number 7 on the ladder, is find the solution. Now that you own the problem, find the solution. And the challenge here for us is each one of us wants to solve the problem himself. Right. It's not a community or a society solution. It's a personal solution.
It's ego.
Yeah, you're right. It's ego. Everybody wants to do what he thinks is right. What he believes is right, rather than respect for leadership, respect for those who has the experience, and let them solve it.
Yes, it's true. And I think that it's a question of if you work with the group collective, you'll have the ability to resolve an issue. You might come up with a more creative way to resolve the issue. Or if you're not able to identify the problem answer, you'll have more minds. You'll be able to solve a problem. That's how you figure out a problem in the first place. It's faster, it's more efficient, and it gets the job done.
Yeah. And you notice I always look at our masjid and I say it's a reflection of us back home. The imam of the masjid is a dictator in a way. This is how it is. You like it, fine. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. And yet we constantly blame back home. We're in a wonderful society here in Canada, and we have not learned. We have not learned to apply the things that surround us in the society to make it happen. When we find a solution, it is a real solution that helps all of us, not my own thought.
And that, and the fact they haven't used Islamic history or principles to realize that if you go back, it's not even just going back to them, if you just look at them, they're quite logical in the sense that they make sure that everyone's integrated, everyone's involved, and that the masjid, as a sense, is a great tool and utensil to help bring the community together and help to voice opinions, and it helps to organize you to achieve whatever goals that you need as a community as a whole, especially to engage society.
So unfortunately, when we try to find the solution, it's a personal solution. I don't find that us as a community is coming together to find the solution and to compromise. And the last point is make it happen, and get it done. And, how do we get people to make things happen, huh?
You put a carrot in front of them. They have to realize what the incentive is, really, and they have to realize the incentive. Everyone works on a personal incentive. How can this help me? How will this benefit me? How will this make my life better? I think if that is well articulated to the populace as a whole, then they will understand that the benefit to them is just not to them, but it's a benefit to the whole society. The thing is, if you improve yourself, if each individual person improves themselves, they improve the whole community simply
Yes.
because they are a part and a unit of that entire society. They don't exist outside of the community. No Muslim exists outside of the community.
Yeah.
They are part and parcel of it. Their viewpoints, how they react, how they behave, we're dealt with as a collective. Even how people react to us. If one Muslim does something wrong, everyone looks at us in a negative way. It doesn't matter how many of those Muslims do the right thing. So it's important to see, to improve ourselves, to make sure that we, no one's perfect. And it's not, and I'm not saying that you should go out there and be perfect, or you shouldn't try not to be perfect, but the fact of the matter is an effort should be made. As modest as an attempt in whatever way or fashion you can, as long as you're making an attempt, every little step that you take, you keep on improving yourself. And that's the whole point of being a human, is to improve yourself, is the betterment of not only yourself, but of humanity as a whole.
And that's the important thing, is we just don't want to help the Muslim community. We live in this Canadian society at large, and we have to contribute and be part of it and help, help it grow and, add value to it.
Of course, and you have to, because you live here. You are a Canadian. You're not, you can't say that, well, I'm just a Muslim and then that's it. Of course you're a Muslim, but you're also a Muslim Canadian. You live here. You pay your taxes here, so you should be engaging in voting. Laws that are made here, you should be involved in that. Everything that happens in society at some point will affect you. If you don't like something being taught in the school, you should be vocal about it and say, I don't appreciate this, or this I don't agree with it. That is your right as a taxpayer, that is your right as a citizen, and that's what Muslims should realize, that they should be engaged. There's no sense, this disengagement ideology that some have developed is not healthy at all, because it does a disservice not only to the Muslim community, but the society as a whole in which that we are part of.
Yeah, and that's the important thing, is be part of it, go and contribute and realize you make a difference. I'd like to thank you all and remind you, please help us keep the show on the air. We're looking for 50 people, each one donating $100 to keep the show on the air for the next few months. Thank you. Please help us out. That's the only way. We want to be part of the community. Please help and contribute. And thank you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. الله أكبر الله